What am I? Spock from Star Trek? I don't know. Either way, welcome back. Or welcome. I've never done a video like this, for the record. Never have I ever recorded a video like this in the wild, in the middle of a forest. Feels great, I'll tell you that. Why am I here? Why am I here? Oh, I can't really... I guess I'm here to reset my mind, because that's sort of the theme we're here to talk about. Resetting the mind. So we're Friday, June 4th, 2021. I almost said 2020. That's Saturn in Aquarius. Time feels very odd. It's frozen and then we're jumping, fast forwarding ahead. It's kind of like being in a cryostasis machine, and then we're taking a time loop forward. That's Saturn in Aquarius. That's what Saturn in Aquarius has felt like, at least. Yeah, it's like being in limbo, and then the next thing you know, you wake up the next day and wow, you've had so much going on internally, because you're with yourself during these days. You cannot escape yourself, and you have to face yourself. And that's sort of why I'm here today as well, in the middle of nowhere, because I have faced my own shit, my own baggage, especially around the full moon in Scorpio that we had in April. If you guys, if any of you remember, Pluto was stationary, the ruler of Scorpio, so it intensified an issue for me personally, that I needed to really face and really not escape it. Because with Pluto, you can't carry on poisoning yourself with your own traumas. You really have to decide to evolve from it. So there's been a lot. There's been quite a lot of intensification going on in terms of the highlighting of the internal shadows. At least I'm talking from personal experience, but I do think that I've been feeling lately the sense of things speeding up, a lot of noise going on, and it's not external. It does not have to do with the administration, the global administration of the vaccines. But it seems like things are speeding up, and people are getting more and more impatient. And I'm a little bit impatient with me holding myself back. And so this is probably the most candid and maybe at peace that I've ever been. Being that, and I'm not quite done, to be honest. I'm not even where I ideally want to be with myself. So this is perhaps one of the most crucial steps in my life, is this month and the previous month. And the springtime is quite a phenomenally changing month. And there's a squirrel just kind of looking around my surroundings, prancing around. He's curious. He's curious about what I have to say, or what I have to feed him with. It's funny because I had given a squirrel a piece of rice cake last time, but I don't have any food. I'm sorry. I know you're curious, but don't have any food, so I hope you're able to find some. Good luck with that. And a fly just lands on my notebook. I hear voices. There's voices. See what I'm talking about? Noise. There's activity. Curiosity is what's occurring here. And so today we're here to talk about specifically the solar eclipse in Gemini, okay? Happening in about a week from now, less than a week. We are Friday, June 4th. This is the day that I'm recording this on. And the solar eclipse will be happening next week on the Thursday, day of Jupiter, which will be June 10th. So there's a completion needing to happen, a closing of a book. And that's a very sort of typical way to say things, right? It's a closing of an old habit that we need to outgrow. And with the new moon, that's usually the case where we clear. We're out of a climatic point, cataclysmic point that changes us on the emotional level from the root of the soul, which I think is especially the case after the full moon in April that I mentioned, which then introduced slowly our eclipse season, which started with the full moon in Sagittarius, which happened a little while ago. And personally, I've been needing to back off from all the noise and to not be worried about that noise, because I think that we're here to, these days, I think more than anything, we're learning how to move at our own pace, at our own rhythm. And so that's what I'm doing today, is going out. I walked all the way here, and now the squirrel's on the other side. He's pretty chunky. You're quite fed, so I don't have any food for you, but you can listen if you want. Your tail looks a little bit He does look a little bit hungry. Nevertheless, hang around if you want. Putting that aside, I'm watching him. He's watching me. And or she, I can't tell. Probably a he. Okay, let's not change the conversation. He's coming closer. Can you not right now? Can you not? Hey, I don't have time for that. Shoo. I know you're curious, but I'm not going to entertain you. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. The full moon in Sag and all this stuff we have in Gemini right now that is slowly transitioning into Cancer has been a little bit too much. It's too much to bear. It's too much fodder for the brain. And when I said that I needed to get out here to clear my head, it's because it's really propelling me to change the way I've been operating amongst other people. And I think the solar eclipse in Gemini is really going to highlight our need to reset all that noise and to, from then on, decide how we're going to organize our mind amidst the noise that we need to distance ourselves from. Because Saturn in Aquarius is teaching us to limit our social activity so that we can refine our intelligence, refine the sword, sharpen the sword, that Ace of Swords, right? The essence of the mind when it's at its best, when it's clear from dog shit. So, for some reason, the solar eclipse in Gemini makes me think of a cat and a mouse. That's the first thing that came to mind. Goddamn flies, squirrels, frickin' hey. So I wrote the wise mouse that saves the curious cat from danger. Okay? Because I'm not even sure why I wrote that, to be quite honest. But I think it has to do with 2020 especially. I think the solar eclipse in Gemini marks a notable shift in the mode in which our mind has been incessantly on. Okay? I think it stems from a lot of social media noise, a lot of garbage that we read on news, all that social activity that is taking our attention away from our mental clarity has been destroying us to the point where we're needing to distance in a real way, in a way that serves us. So, in a sense, that's also going to help us forge stronger bonds with the people that are interested in what we really have to say in the most honest and frank way, which is what I'm kind of aiming for today. Amidst this noise, the birds that are chirping, the small dragonflies flying around. There's been a lot of birds too when I walked all the way here. It took a while to hike all the way here, but I finally managed to find a quiet place amidst the forest. And there were a lot of birds this morning when I walked. There was a raven and a seagull gawking at each other, black and white, sort of at odds. And then I saw a sparrow on a lamppost, just simply joyfully prancing on its own, at peace. Little guy like that. And so maybe there is a certain link with the visualization that I had of the cat and the mouse, and the cat being too curious to the point where he could lead himself in unnecessary danger. And then the wise mouse shows up and goes, hey, you might be an enemy to me, but you're not really an enemy. How about we become friends from our differences? So the prey and the hunter have in that sense, a bit of an apprehensive conversation. You know, the cat is skeptical of the mouse. He goes, what's going on? Why is he different? Why is he not afraid of me? And then the mouse is also a little bit anxious about this conversation because he doesn't know what to expect from the cat.
Yeah, it's not sure. We weren't like, totally hurting for cash, but if she didn't need us to send us so much.
You cannot make this up. You cannot make this up. Cyclists are going to this spot over here, where there's no clear road. I mean, it doesn't even look like someone walked over. I mean, yeah, there might be a slight trail, but holy crap. You see what I'm talking about? The noise. That noise, I don't know. One day I guess I'll find secluded place to do this stuff. But hey, I'm not going to edit this out, so perhaps it's a sign. I'm not sure. What I do know is that there's so much distraction going on. So the solar eclipse in Gemini is going to help us hone our mind. Okay? And this is going to be the last, so this is the last eclipse of June. And the final full moon event, I noticed, is on December 19th, 2021 in the sign of Gemini. So there's gonna need to be a serious amount of mental discipline for the rest of the year. And if you can do that, I think what you can expect is an improvement of your social environment, the community, the groups you associate with, that you now have associated with or are changing into, or the one that you are founding, the bonds you're making, the friends, the acquaintances. It's all going to be based on a more stimulating dynamic that will be stemming from wanting to be better, wanting to learn more, and to have an illuminating series of conversation over the rest of the year. If you decide not to get distracted by all this noise, right? So it's up to you, and myself included. So immense clarity of mind is coming up in a specific area of life, depending on your sign, what your moon sign is, and what house it falls in. I'm gonna keep talking about the solar eclipse in Gemini as I draw the tarot. Numerologically, the date on which the solar eclipse occurs is 12/3, number 3. But 12/3 specifically, which numerologically denotes stimulating exchanges that are in alignment with your joy for life. Because the day on which the solar eclipse occurs is on Thursday, like I said, day of Jupiter. So there's going to need to be expansion of your philosophy. And that will, to really question your belief systems, which has to do with what we experienced with the full moon in Sagittarius. So first card out. This is what's been going on in recent months. Having to struggle to defend your willpower to fight off forces that are a nuisance to your sense of creativity. And so now that Jupiter has been in Pisces for a little bit, and is continuing to stay there for a little while until it retrogrades, we're now letting go of all of that. We're finally able to release weight in the most sublime and effortless way. With Jupiter and Neptune in the sign of Pisces, there's a need to raise your consciousness and to sharpen the mind through that process by deciding once and for all that we're not going to carry the toxic sludge with the dissolution of all the weight that we need to release. So there's a lot of mutable energy going on, pinpointing really effectively what our mind is halted by. With the North Node in Gemini, especially with the North-South Node in the Gemini-Sag axis, we've been needing to develop new curiosity and to have a little bit more innocence, to tap into a sense of adolescent innocence with the Gemini support that we have. With Mercury now retrograding in the sign for a while. So Mercury has been hanging out and will continue to clear the fodder in his domain, in his natural domain, in the third house with Gemini. Number 3. Depending on what part of the world you're at, the solar eclipse will be occurring at either 10 in the morning or 6 in the morning, 52 minutes, which if we reduce those two would be 7. Number 7. So we're needing to sharpen the mind by giving less of our time and energy to the people that do not value us in the same way that we expend our physical being and our time. It's the focus. To practice a little bit of proper self-love by the clearing of the mind, through the separation of crowds that siphon your internal power, the Plutonian stuff that we're trying to reclaim now. This is coming out. This is coming out and coming up again because we're not trusting this process, which is very unusual at this time. When the moon comes out like this, especially after our focus card, it's for us to decide whether or not we trust the subconscious needs and urges to change our emotional weight that has affected the mind. So with the solar eclipse in Gemini, we're being demanded to surrender in a way that is going to filter all that dust out in the easiest way possible, and that would be to turn on that button inside of you that is begging to be activated. It's like the signal tower that calls to you from afar, and you just can't ignore that. There's a blip in the distance, and you need to follow it, no matter how foggy. And so, with the Jupiterian, Neptunian stuff going on there, it's a matter of trusting what you don't see, but what you feel. And the feeling is confusing because you're at a point where you're questioning, am I allowed to even feel this way, or to consider retreating myself from that noise, the crowd that is taking advantage of my worth? It's scary. It's scary because it's dark. It's scary because you don't know. But intuitively, you feel the pull. So in that, you trust yourself to do what's right for you. Because we see a lot of exhausting energy, a lot of exhausting stuff here that brings you to the point where you need to change your priorities because it's just too much, and you can't ignore the signal. What's in your head? Are you a zombie? Or are you a curious sparrow? The butterfly about to try its first wings out. What follows upon trusting what confuses us, but what we also trust? Six of Swords, okay. So we go from that focus to the end result. And there's a lot of there's 3 fixed cards here with a pair of mutable. Two sixes. A need for harmony. And whatever makes you feel harmonious. Whatever makes you feel harmonious. In whatever odd way it is for you, don't put it off. Don't put it off until it's too late. What is something to be? What is a danger? What is a danger per se? What is something to watch out for? Nine of Pentacles reversed. Okay, so not having a plan. Not having a plan, not being structured in your own life as a result of not trusting what you don't understand and being afraid of So, people often think that the moon brings solely confusion, but sometimes it is the confusion of events and the well of feeling that brings about sort of an evolutionary leap in our spirit. It's what brings us closer to our sense of intuition. But it's not as easy as with the High Priestess, where she's fully experienced and there's a complete attunement to it. It comes flawlessly, effortlessly. Here it takes a little bit of effort, but it's the first activation, which brings a better pace of movement in the mind. The danger is not having the plan and only trusting, giving your power away to something you don't understand yet, which would be divinity. But divinity is also within us. So in a sense, you have to trust yourself now. Trust yourself in the irrational feeling that you need to resolve and need to accomplish. If you need to cut out certain dynamics, do it. If you need to reduce the amount of effort for those dynamics, then I think what we want to do ultimately is recalibrate it in such a way that we haven't before, ever. And it's not a slight turn of the knob. We're completely changing the radio station to something that makes us dance and enjoy our lives with a little bit more glee. So, with the Nine of Pentacles comes the danger of going back as well to the same attachments. Same old, being afraid of this and then having a knee-jerk reaction and then going back to the same links and efforts that kept you low. Because you don't trust. See, the thing with the moon is things are unfolding in a much more different way, especially with the state of the world we're at right now. So things are different. So with the behind the scenes changes occurring now, we have to trust the new path forward, not subconsciously fall back to the same old, oh, I'm going to be overly generous with my time and energy, and I'm going to stick with the same old job that makes me feel like I'm not valuable. What is at the bottom of the deck? The Hermit Virgo. So we have the Moon and the Hermit as the underlying card. So with the Hermit, there's a need to refine our expertise now, our skills, and to be more introspective as a general way of life for a while, to look more within, and to stay immersed within our own space so that we can laser focus our skills, so that we can prevent this from happening, right? This is also what happens when we're not skilled, when we haven't put the efforts in ourselves, and when we haven't disciplined our mind, because maybe we're still looking back to the same old people and dynamics that make us feel exhausted. And there's the danger of also being an unprofessional with the Nine of Pentacles reversed. So the Hermit is there as the underlying card of this whole reading to say, hey, now that you're retreating from the world, let's look inside. Let's keep looking inside with the North Node in Gemini. Now that you have a much more pristine mind, we can organize ourselves with the Virgo card. We can organize ourselves, and with a wise sense of spirit, we can now put in the effort in the new steps. The new steps, not the same old steps. So there's a paradigm shift in our lifestyle. So, what's in your head? Zombie, zombie. What's in your head? In your head, zombie. So, see? I don't know. That song played inside of a car while I was walking by the driveway today, and it kind of just stuck there. And then I had fly like a bird, not to fly away. Don't know the lyrics, but it don't matter. Probably is the feeling of flying, fly away. I don't know what I'm babbling about, but what I do know is that I'm free to be. And then I saw a girl sitting on the footsteps of her house, or apartment, I guess. She had a tattoo of a flock of birds. And that leg, it was her left leg, it had a metallic brace on it. She was on her phone, but I don't know. Made me think of crippled birds and what happens, when you run into the danger of being distracted. That's right. When a bird doesn't pay attention, when a bird doesn't master its flight, it runs into the accident of face planting into a mall window. I don't know, something like that. So watch out. If you don't sharpen your mind by trusting what is unknown, but what is being activated by your personal woes and your breaking point of needing that shift. 6/6, 18. Harmony of lifestyle. That is a result of a need for internal transformation, which I think the easiest way to get there, to that evolution that we need, is it's to simply surrender all the thoughts that you keep thinking about at night. They keep you up at night, the stuff you mull over again and again and again, and it's an endless cycle. And the moon is there to say, it's annoying what you're doing, it's tiring your mind, and your body suffers as a result. And if you continue, you're gonna lose your sense of inner stability. So the focus is to set all of that aside into not even an archive. Put it in the dumpster and let that dumpster roll down the mountain. And so the mouse is here to tell the cat, hey, you don't have to worry about food. Let me give you some of my cheese. I don't know. Do cats even eat cheese? Maybe they'll enjoy if they ever try. Let's have one oracle card. Angel of Dreams. Bringing the unconscious into our conscious and weaving it into something precious. And Jupiter and Neptune and Pisces are really there to propel our dreams and fantasies, the pictures that we see in the little device. I don't remember what it's called. It's like a little photographic device, and you slide pictures in it. You see it in a tint of a colored plastic sheet. It's bringing that into our reality by grabbing, scooping out a glimpse, scooping out some of that fantasy, and then starting small. But in this case, I don't think that you'll be crazy. Look, if people want to call you crazy for believing something, or for daring to do the thing you never thought you would do, if you ever decide that you want to try to get yourself out there and to do it in a very serious way, this is not something that you're just, it's not something like, oh, I want to win the lottery, or it's not a superficial dream, is what I'm saying. And to get there, and you don't even know, honestly, frankly, I feel like a lot of you don't even know how you ended up activating this pull for something that is greater than you. But it's resulting from it. I think it occurred from a series of upheaval, of all of this stuff coming to the boiling point and burning your flame of creativity. So with the solar moon in Gemini being the last eclipse of the year, with the North Node there, Mercury in its native sign, we had Venus there for a little while. And Neptune in its native sign aspecting all of that, with Jupiter in that traditional sign. There's a lot of potential. From the pain that needs to be released, there's a clearing of the mind that can occur in an unimaginable way. Maybe you've never been there before in your state of mind. Maybe you forgot how to get there, or how to be in that state of being since you were a kid. But you'll be much more curious and more mentally strengthened as a result. And you'll be able to fully channel your mental focus into those dreams that you need to bring out there because they're peaceful to you. They feel relaxing. And they're not, you know, they're not meaningless. They have a lot of information. But they have great those dreams also come from self-reflection of knowing where you want to be, how you want to be doing it, whatever it is you want to do. And the understanding, and coming to the understanding that you have to do what's scary and to do what's perhaps not rational in whoever else's mind. But the focus, again, is the Six of Pentacles. So ultimately, there's a need to be realistic about your everyday life with Virgo. Are you fully absorbed in your own light? Or are you being pulled to the same old destructive attachments? That is up to you. But it's not going to be easy to do what you're not used to do. So I'll leave you to think with that. So thank you for watching. It's been a good 46 minutes. It's really nice out there. I really want to go pee though. But nevertheless, this was definitely worth it. And let me know how you're doing, or if you're just silently watching. I am completely grateful for your attention, whoever you might be. Kind stranger, you are not an enemy. That's it. I'm gonna go. Take care of yourselves, and remember, you know what you think, you know your truth, and not everyone has to understand it, not even the people that you love, and that still disappoint you. They don't have to get it. You know what you're doing. Now get yourself to work. See you soon. Take care.